Hello you guys, welcome back to Hot Girls Eat Carbs. I firstly just want to say I've missed you so much and I'm glad that you're back here today tuning in. And if you've been wondering where I've been the past few weeks, today's episode is going to explain a little bit more why. And it's not actually our usual chat about food or workouts or mindset shifts. This one is a little bit heavier and it's a lot more personal. But as always, this space is your cozy little corner of the internet where we chat all things mindset, self-love, and sustainable weight loss. Whether you're out on your morning walk, sitting in your car, or just curled up in bed, this space is for you. And if this episode or any of my episodes in my podcast made you feel a little bit more grounded, then it would mean the world if you give the show a review. Okay, so let's just get straight into it. It was pretty much a normal Thursday afternoon. I had just wrapped up my day of work and I was hanging out with my boyfriend Josh. And for those of you who don't know, I live in Koh Samui in Thailand. And we were just getting ready for training, so we do Muay Thai together. And then I got a phone call from my mum. Before she had even told me what happened, she asked me if I was with someone. And I will just never forget that pause that happened at this point. That's when she told me that my dad had suffered a cardiac arrest and he was gone. Just like that, there was no warning. There was no time to say goodbye. He was just gone. I had spoken to him the day before. He sounded good. We were chatting about little things, life, work, and my plans. I had just booked my tickets back to New Zealand to surprise him for his birthday in June, and I was so excited. I was talking to my mum and my auntie about throwing him a surprise party with all of his friends. It was one of those feel-good plans that just made you feel so excited about going home. I honestly could not even try and contain how excited I was. I wanted to tell him so badly that I was coming home. The last thing that my dad ever said to me was that he loved me. I'll never forget those words, and I think about how lucky I am to have heard them without even knowing that it would be the last time. But this whole experience, it's just put everything into perspective, how short life really is and how quickly everything can change. One day you're planning a surprise party and the next you're booking an emergency flight home for a funeral. I never thought I'd lose a parent in my 20s. I thought that I had so much more time. There's so much I imagine sharing with him, the milestones, the memories, and the life that I'm still building. And honestly, I've been figuring out how to keep going and how to grieve and how to stay grounded and how to hold space for joy even when your heart is breaking. So this episode is for anybody who's going through something hard, whether you're grieving someone, navigating change, or just feeling like life has cracked open a little too fast. This is your soft landing, a place to feel it all and maybe, just maybe, feel a little less alone. My dad wasn't just my dad. He was my best friend. He was my anchor and the person I would call every single day on my morning walks. He was the kindest person I've ever known. Quiet, steady, gentle, never in a rush to be the loudest in the room, but always the first person you'd feel safe around. He would listen to me and talk to me for hours about business ideas, content plans, my coaching, what I was cooking for dinner that week. And he never once acted like he was too busy or he didn't care. He just listened fully, like what I had to say actually mattered. And when I started this podcast, he was one of my biggest supporters. He'd listen to me every single episode, and after it went live, he'd tell me how proud he was of me. And now I keep catching myself wanting to speak to him and ask for his advice, and then remembering it's those little moments, the quiet in-between moments, that ache the most. But I do know that he's still here, and I feel him in the way that I lead, in the way that I speak, and in the way I show up for this community because he showed up for me every single day. He didn't need to say much to show me love. He was just love. And I think that's what makes this so painful, but also so beautiful. To have had a dad like him is the greatest privilege in my life. My dad was a man of quiet faith, a Christian in the most grounded, humble way. He didn't preach or push, he just lived it through kindness, through patience, and through love. And it was his unwavering belief into something bigger, something peaceful, something good. I think that is the part of why he gave me so much without needing any sort of recognition. And I hold on to that now more than ever because I know that he's still with me. I feel him in the calm moments, in the light when I wake up early and everything feels still. I feel him when I sit in silence and I need an answer, and somehow it just comes. And I feel him when I don't think I have any strength left. but I still keep going anyway. He's guiding me, He's protecting me, and I truly believe He's giving me strength to keep showing up, not in spite of my grief, but through it with grace. This podcast, this work, and this mission, it means more than ever now because I know that He's still listening, just from a different seat. So let's talk about grief, growth, and finding grace in the middle of all of it. Because if you're walking through something right now, whether it's loss, heartbreak, burnout, or a season that just feels heavier than usual, I want you to know that you're not alone. Grief isn't about losing somebody. It can show up in a million ways. Losing a version of yourself, losing a dream, losing the way things used to be. And the hardest part, the world just keeps going. The emails don't stop. The sun keeps rising. And somehow you have to keep going too. And for me, grief has been the most humbling teacher. It's shown me how little we can control and how quickly life can change and how deeply we need softness, especially in the hardest moments. There's this pressure to sometimes be strong or stay positive or bounce back quickly. But I've learned that real strength isn't about holding it all together. It's about letting yourself feel it and still choosing to keep going one small, shaky step at a time. And growth doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it just looks like resting, taking a breath, letting yourself cry in the middle of the day without apologizing for it. And sometimes grace looks like putting one foot in front of the other, even when you're not sure where you're headed yet. So in this next part of the episode, I want to share what's been helping me cope, not from a here's how to fix it kind of place, but just from one human heart to another. These are the little soft things that have helped me feel safe in my body, held my grief, and slowly and gently begin to come back to myself again. So let's talk about them. When everything is feeling like too much, I stop looking for big answers. I stopped trying to fix my feelings or make everything make sense. Instead, I started paying attention to the small things, the tiny anchors that help me stay grounded, even when everything felt like it was slipping. And if you're in that heavy season right now, maybe one of these practices will meet you where you are. And I'm not going to pretend that I have it all figured out. Grief cracked something open in me that I wasn't ready for. And I've had days where I couldn't think straight. Days where food didn't taste like anything, and days where I felt completely disconnected from myself, like I was just floating through time while the rest of the world kept moving. But through all of that, I've slowly found little things, tiny anchors that helped me stay grounded, that reminded me I was still here, still breathing, still capable of healing, even when it felt impossible. And if you're grieving something or someone you love, I want this to gently remind you there is no right way to do this. You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to laugh. You're allowed to not know how you feel from 1 minute to the next. You don't owe anybody any explanation for your grief, and you don't need to grieve in a way that makes other people feel comfortable. You just need to feel it in your own way and in your own little time, and you don't have to rush your way through it. So here are some gentle things that have helped me cope. Letting people love me. I didn't try to be the strong one. I let people help. I let them hold me, sit with me, cry with me, and I let myself collapse into the arms of my friends and not apologize for being a mess. My friends, my family, my team, they showed up, not always with words, but with food, with space, with messages just saying I'm here, and I let them be there. Because sometimes healing doesn't come from doing it alone. Sometimes it comes from being witnessed in the most human, messy, beautiful way. I still talk to him every day. In my head, in the air, in his journal, I tell him what I miss. I ask him for strength. I update him on random things that I know that he'd care about. And I know it might sound strange, but it brings me peace. Like he can still hear me. Like I'm not grieving in silence. And there's something really powerful in just saying the things. Walking. No pressure, no pace, just soft, slow movement. I'd walk through the streets or along the beach and just let myself feel. Some days I felt like crying the whole time, and some days I said nothing. But it always helped. It was like the world held me when I couldn't hold myself. And there's something sacred about walking while grieving. Like your body knows what to do even when your heart doesn't. Soft and nourishing meals. When your appetite disappears, cooking can feel impossible, but I reminded myself, food is love. Even when it was just toast and scrambled eggs, or oats with banana and cinnamon, I tried to care for myself like I would a friend. No pressure, just warmth, comforting meals. I wasn't thinking about calories, I was thinking, what would feel good in my belly right now? And that question became an act of grace. I didn't rush to return to my normal. There is no bouncing back. There is no back to normal after you lose someone who shaped your world. I stopped trying to perform like I was okay. I stopped pushing through just to be productive. If I needed rest, I rested. And if I needed space, I took it. I had to remind myself, rest is healing. Silence is sacred. And I don't have to prove anything to anyone by rushing into doing, when what I really just needed was being. There's strength in slowing down, and there's power in giving yourself the grace to not be okay. Music, prayer, and presence. I played his favorite songs on repeat. I went to Dad's church on a Sunday. I sat in the dark with his journal open and his Bible next to me. Some nights I prayed with words, and some nights all I could do was cry and ask for peace. But I felt it, and I felt his presence with me. Not all at once, and not every day, but in little ways. A Bible verse that showed up out of nowhere, a song that started playing as I needed it, a moment of calm when everything felt overwhelming. I believe my dad's faith and my own is holding me now. I believe he's giving me the strength from heaven, and God is with me, especially in the stillness and especially in the breaking. This season has taught me that healing isn't about fixing. It's all about feeling. It's about softening, not hardening. It's about letting grace carry you through when you don't have the energy to carry yourself. And if you're listening to this and walking through your own hard season, I want you to know something. You're allowed to feel all the weight of all of it, and you're allowed to cry, to scream, to pause. You are allowed to not be okay right now. This does not make you weak, it just makes you a human. But I also need you to remember, this isn't where your story ends. Even in the deepest grief, even in the most confusing, painful chapters, there is still hope, and there is still healing. There is still life to be lived, and there is still love that hasn't even reached you yet. And I know how hard it is to imagine feeling whole again when everything feels broken. But you don't need to fix everything right now. You just need to take one soft step, one tiny act of care, and one deep breath that says, I'm still here. Because you are still here, and that matters. There will be joy again. There will be moments that make you laugh without guilt. And there will be memories that don't sting, but warm you instead. You'll find little pieces of yourself returning, quietly and gently. Grief will change you, but it won't take you. You're allowed to keep living, and you're allowed to grow. You're allowed to become someone new without letting go of the love that shaped you. Your softness is not weakness, it's actually your superpower. It's your ability to feel deeply, to love hard, and to keep going when your heart is heavy. And that is strength. So please take your time, let the tears come, let the light in, and let the healing be quiet if it needs to be. But I just want to say thank you so much for being here today, for holding the space for me, for yourself, and for the people you've loved and lost. Grief is one of the hardest things that we will ever go through. But if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that we don't have to do it alone. Healing isn't meant to be walked in isolation. Whether it's grief, burnout, feeling stuck in your body, or trying to find a way back to yourself again, you deserve support. If this episode spoke to something in your heart and you're ready to start showing up for you again, slowly, softly, and sustainably, I'd love to support you through my one-on-one online coaching. Inside BritFit, we don't just focus on fat loss. We focus on rebuilding your habits, healing your relationship with food, and creating routines that make you feel good long term. It's a safe space to grow at your own pace with guidance, structure, and someone in your corner every step of the way. So if you've been listening and thinking, maybe it's time, then this is your sign. You don't have to do it all by yourself anymore. You can head to the link in the show notes or send me a message on Instagram if you want to chat about joining the team, and I'd love to walk alongside you in the next season. And if nothing else, just promise me this, that you'll give yourself a little more grace today, a little more space to breathe, because you're doing so much better than you think. And if this episode or any of my episodes have helped you in any way, it would mean the world to me if you could give the show a review, as it helps more people find the show who need it. Thank you for spending the time with me today, and I will see you in the next episode.